Hello students, welcome back. This week for your skill review, we're going to be talking about using outside evidence in the DBQ because they've now made this an even more important part of the DBQ for this year. Plus, it's super easy to get some free points on the DBQ. So last week we talked about the thesis. The week before we talked about analyzing documents. We're going to continue incorporating those skills into our practice every week, but I want to focus more this week on getting outside evidence points because there's several people who are missing these and they're super easy to get. So let's jump into it. So how does outside evidence work? On the DBQ, it's worth 2 out of 10 points. This means it's worth 1/5 of your points. You don't even have to read the documents to get these points, right? All you have to do is you get a 1 point for each reference of outside information that pertains to the topic that's not in the document specifically. And so your essay needs to have at least 2 pieces of outside evidence. How these function, they're going to function much like an LEQ. So you're going to use outside evidence instead of using a document. So in your essay, if you have 3 paragraphs, you still need 6 pieces of evidence, but 2 of those pieces of evidence are going to come from outside of the document. So they're going to come from facts or things that you already know. And you should plan them on your document planner. So here's what that looks like. So in my planning square on the document planner, you can see here, I have my topics that I've designed. And then also here, I also have what piece of outside evidence am I going to use to back that up. So this paragraph, I could use 2 documents and a piece of outside evidence, or I could use just one of the documents, especially because document 2 is really hard to understand. Maybe I just use document 3 and this piece of outside evidence. Totally okay. And the same thing for over here. I have 1 document, plus I have some outside evidence that I could bring into to make it understandable. You can see here's my thesis for this essay. Between 1815 and 1840, participation in elections increased dramatically and campaigns were focused on the common man. However, political parties still dominated politics. Okay, so I have my complex thesis. I reference the dates. You can see what my paragraphs are going to be about, etc. Right? So I have a paragraph about increased participation. I have a paragraph about campaigns being more focused on the common man. And then I'm going to have a paragraph about the dominance of political parties. All right. So how would this look in a paragraph? Let's say I wrote a paragraph for this specific essay, for last week's essay, using outside evidence. What would that look like? So I wrote the whole paragraph. I'm not just going to shortchange you guys in a sentence. So here's my paragraph. It says, the increased participation in politics changed political campaigns. So you can see this is the second paragraph of my essay, right? In document 4, Crockett discusses how campaigns now are about promising anything to people and appealing to lower classes. Prior to this, campaigns were made local and focused on elites. Now they are nationwide. Crockett's audience here is clearly other politicians, highlighting the changes that have occurred. All of these changes occurred because of the era of common man. Here's my outside evidence. Property ownership, for example, for voting is no longer necessary, so even poor people can vote. This has shifted the focus of campaigns. So let's look at this a little closely, right? So in my paragraph, you can clearly see my claim. My claim comes directly from my thesis. It's the second argument in my thesis. Then I look at least a document. Every paragraph has to look at least 1 document. You can't just blindly put an outside evidence paragraph, okay? So here's my document analysis, right? So I have my paraphrase of the document is the first sentence, and then my analysis of how does this prove my point, right? Goes back to my claim is the second paragraph, or the second sentence. So it says, prior to campaigns were made local and focused on elites. Now they are nationwide. So this ties back into my argument telling me how it's changed political campaigns. Okay. The next piece of my paragraph is my happy analysis. Remember, I only need 1 or 2 sentences here. It doesn't need to be long. I went with audience here. I said Crockett's audience here is clearly other politicians, highlighting the changes that have occurred, right? I'm saying Crockett is looking at these other politicians, telling them how to campaign in this new, modern, changed world. And then I have my outside evidence, right? So I need some other evidence to back up this claim. And so I bring in my outside evidence, which is this last part. All these changes occurred because of the era of common man. The era of common man is my outside evidence. It was in the video last week. It should be on your note page, right? It says property ownership for voting is no longer necessary, so even poor people can vote now, right? this is going to shift the focus of campaigns because there are a lot more poor people than rich people in the world. And so if everybody can vote, I now need to pertain to where the most voters are. And so, like I said, this has shifted the focus of campaigns. And then I end my paragraph and I'm ready to move on to my last body paragraph, right? So I'm using the outside evidence. It's not coming from the document. It's coming from my background knowledge of what I already know. And I also make it specific. I'm referencing specific people, places, events, concepts in my understanding. All right. So that being said, your assignment this week is very similar to last week. I want you to complete your planning document. This week, I'm definitely looking forward. I'm definitely looking for outside evidence in your planning document. So make sure you have outside evidence planned alongside the document analysis and then your thesis, right? So you need to paraphrase all 5 documents like we have done the last couple of weeks. You need to happy analyze at least 3 of those documents, and then you will use that planning document to write your essay. Submit it, you're handwriting it, you're making your paper, and then you're going to submit it on Google Classroom. When it's due, Wednesday, your document planner, your thesis, your outside evidence, all that's due on Wednesday at 5 p.m. I'm going to give feedback on Thursday. I know I dropped the ball last week on feedback, so I'm going to make it up to you guys this week. There was a lot going on last week, a lot of changes, and I work a lot harder now than I did before. And then on Friday, your full essay is due. Remember, if you need help, always check the calendar, come to office hours, come to the live classes. The people who came to live classes got a lot of help last week. And then call or text me if you need anything else. That's it for the skill video this week. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. As always, I love you guys. Stay healthy, and I will see you soon.